Hello, let us understand today about My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das. Kamala Das, later who came to be known as Kamala Suraiya, speaks about her mother, Nalapat Balamani Amma, who at 66 looked very old. Here I have put certain pictures of Kamala Das in various time frames. Kamala Das was born as Madhavikutty in Kerala, came to be known as her name registered in her school was Kamala Das, and friends used to call her Ami. Most of her friends in Bombay used to know her as Ami. These are some of the books of Kamala Das worth reading. A Childhood in Malabar, which is a memoir. It brings a vivid description of Kerala through the eyes of Kamala Das, the author. Kamala Das is known for her My Story, wherein she gives us a brief picture of her life, and it is a worth reading book. The use of words is quite prolific. Going into the poem, My Mother at 66, the objective of teaching this poem is to sensitize students to a different poetic form. The whole poem is in single thread of thought, is in a single sentence, punctuated by commas, with all her observations connected to the main idea of aging. The second objective is to enable students to interpret the lyrical qualities of the poem, wherein poetic devices have been used to enhance the quality of the poem. Third objective is to relate with life while teaching students, telling them that aging is a part of growing up. Every person worries about their near and dear ones. Kamala Das also worried about her mother. Every person enters life and has to exit too, as Shakespeare remarked, all the world is a stage. Here, Kamala Das discovers that her mother has reached almost the fag end years of her life, which actually worries her. The contents of the poem is the poetess's realization about her mother's declining health, the recollection of her childhood fear, and an attempt to overcome anxiety and fears with a hope of meeting her mother once again. The inevitable end. My Mother at 66 speaks about an inevitable end, that every living entity in this world is subject to decay, decline, and death. When the poet was on her way to the airport with her mother, she realized this very truth, that her mother might soon die. Hence, she tries to escape the truth. She did not want to lose her mother with her realization of the unbearable truth that her mother had really become old and she had reached the fag end of her life. To deviate herself from that thought, Kamala Das looks outside to behold optimism, to look at happiness, to look at energy and vibrancy around, wherein at the same time she brings in two contrasting moments, inside the car and outside the car. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. When I was driving from my parents' home to Cochin to catch a flight, Cochin airport, Cochin has an airport. Last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. Dozing, she was dozing, open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, wan, pale as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." All I did was smile and smile and smile. This is a poem by Kamala Das, wherein she speaks about her grandmother's house. It's a nostalgic poem. There is a house now far away where once I received love. It's a very nice read. Going further, the synopsis of My Mother at 66 tells us that the poetess was traveling in a car when she saw her mother, ashen, pale like grey color, and she compares her mother to a dead body, realizing that her mother has grown very old and will finally die, leaving her alone in this world. This thought becomes painful for her, and to divert herself from that thought, she looks out of the window and she sees young trees running and happy children coming out of their homes, bringing in personification and metaphor to enhance the poetic quality of her thoughts. Moreover, in contrast, she brings in youthfulness to mother's old age, energy to mother's dull look, and liveliness to her mother's lifeless dozing. The dull face of her mother reminds her of the late winter's moon and troubles her once again of losing her mother, and she compares her mother to the waning face of the moon, bringing in simile again. And at last she bids goodbye to her mother with a smile and repeats the word smile, bringing in repetition. Also, with repetition, bringing a hope, consoling herself, a consolation to herself that she is going to meet her mother again, not wanting to disclose her fears and feelings of separation from her mother. The poem is a reflection of the loneliness of the elderly in today's fast-paced life. The compulsions of the hectic modern life leave the elderly to fend for themselves. Mushrooming of old age homes across the country are a testimony to this fact. The crumbling social values, rising aspirations, pressures of work have all played their roles in creating this ever-widening gap between generations. The word Cochin, a sleepy hamlet then, though a bustling city now, suggests lull and silence, like the mother at 66 who has turned silent. The term Friday, it signifies the last day of the week, suggesting the last days, a kind of ending synonymous with the fag end years of the poet's mother. 66, number 66, an angel number. 66 points out to the beginning of double quotation marks. It indicates estrangement from life because death has just begun. Number 66 is an angel number. Repetition provides emphasis and power to the hope of the poetess. In some hermetic systems, 6 means beauty, and the double 6 means even more beautiful, which Kamala Das does not see in her mother. Also, in the zodiac, 6 plus 6 brings in totality of creation. So, number 66 signifies a mother who is the symbol of the totality of creation. Some important questions which can be tackled with students. How is the poem a melancholic one? And every living being meets the horns of death. How is this depicted in the poem? An extrapolation wherein we can test students' understanding in terms of the poem. How was the mother looking when the poet took her in her car? What does the last line imply? The repetition of the words smile. And what do the children and young sprinting trees signify? I acknowledge Beaming Notes, English for Students, English Boards 12 Blogspot, YouTube, Wikipedia, Lit Charts, and many other search engine sites to help me make this PPT. I hope students, you would be able to gain some extra knowledge from what I have prepared. Thank you.